To the Silver Broom Ministries Litha service, Needfire service 2017. I am a Reverend today, Reverend Mark A. Lyons, and we got a lot to cover today. I did a teeny tiny piece of what I'm going to be talking about this morning. I did yesterday at a 30-minute lecture for the Litha festival that we had here. That's already up on YouTube if you want to check it out. But for the past almost year, probably since Yule actually, the past 6 months, I have been doing the Sabbath services to the best of my ability to get here to do those. So it has been quite a fun journey for me for 6 months to be doing. So I used to do this once a month. You know, before we had the Silver Broom Ministries through Joining the Circle, we had a Sunday service. I did every Sunday for years and years and years and years. So now to only have to do it like 8 times a year is a good thing for me. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's talk, and eventually we will set stuff on fire. I've got everything set up for that. We're going to do an altar devotion, or I'm going to do an altar devotion. You can so mode it be as you like. We'll do an opening prayer, a little centering meditation, and then we'll get into our topic. Cool? All right. You know, I usually do this standing. I'm going to sit for this. How's that? Everything's covered. Okay. So please ground and center. Take a few deep breaths. O creature of air, I do cleanse and consecrate thee in the names of the mighty ones of the East, casting out all negativity from you in this world and in all worlds. Blessings be upon you now, so mote it be. O creature of fire, I do cleanse and consecrate thee in the names of the mighty ones of the South, casting out all negativity from you in this world and in all worlds. Blessings be upon you now, so mote it be. O creature of water, I do cleanse and consecrate thee in the names of the mighty ones of the West, casting out all negativity from you in this world and in all worlds. Blessings be upon you now, so mote it be. So mote it be. O creature of earth, I do cleanse and consecrate thee in the names of the mighty ones of the North, casting out all negativity from you in this world and in all worlds. Blessings be upon you now, so mote it be. So mote it be. Water and earth, air and fire combine to transform and inspire. Align us with divine desire, our highest lives we now require. Elements guide so that we may be on our paths and on them stay. We ask thee now, show us the way of what the gods desire this day. O Lady High, O Consort bright, illumine our lives now with your light. So mote it be. Singed arm here. So mote it be. Let's meditate just a little bit. Just a little silent thingy. It's my new favorite magical tool, Ting Shaws. So I'll ring us in 3 times, give a little guidance, go into the silence, 2-3 minutes, and I'll ring us out. Cool. So please get yourself comfortable in position. You can stay for a couple of minutes. Close your eyes and breathe. Dearest God, Goddess, all that is, we surrender this time spent together to you. May it serve your purposes, for we are here only to be truly helpful. We are here to represent you who sent us, so we don't have to worry about what to say or what to do, because you who sent us are directing us. And we are content to go wherever you wish, knowing we do not go there alone. We will be healed as we are taught how to heal. Show us what you would have us do, where you would have us go, what you would have us say, and to whom. That together as one, we walk free from this building this day, feeling more centered, more grounded, more loving, and ultimately more peaceful as spirits incarnate in human form. Thank you. So mote it be. And before you open your eyes, just allow your awareness, your focus, to be directed inward and deeply inward. To go past the thoughts and the feelings into the stillness at the core of your being. To feel the space between the thoughts. That infinite depth of the divine, never ending, no beginning, birthless, deathless stillness. For in our conversations today, it is to this divine stillness, this infinite intelligence, this source of divine love that we will be surrendering to. And so it is. As you're ready, ground and center, and make your way back into the room, allowing your eyelids to be the last things that move as you open them outwards into the room. Let's talk Litha. The thing about doing these Sabbats consistently, as a minister doing Sunday morning services, I mean, if you're a witch, a pagan, Wiccan, whatever, hopefully you're working with the Wheel of the Year. Because it is a magnificent archetypal structure for the development of consciousness, for your magic, for your spiritual growth, to chart it. What you started at Yule, 6 months later at Litha, you get to really look at that first part of the year. Actually, if I do this backwards, then it goes this way, right? The intensity of it growing, like the moon at new waxing to full, except now we're doing it with solar stuff. So look at the changes that have happened in your life. Let's start externally since December. A lot's changed in the world in the past 6 months. You know, even though technically we're doing this on Sunday, and according to the astrological calendar, Litha summer solstice is Wednesday. I think you can pull back and see the geopolitical changes on the planet, and we're not talking about that too much today. You can probably even see the changes that have happened in your outside world personally. That's just going to happen anyway. But what about the inside stuff that's changed? How have you changed, as people say, as a person? How have I changed as a person? Because as a person may not include your work, your career, your vocation, your relationships. It's personal stuff. So as we go forward today, we have some big opportunities, not just today, not just Wednesday, but as I experience it for the next month and a half and for the next 3 months. As we go from Litha in a month and a half to Lyons, and as we go from Litha to Mabon, autumnal equinox, we can really work the divine, fixed divine energies of this season. And when I say fixed, meaning that the core of it doesn't change in the meditation, to go between the thoughts into that stillness of the divine does not change. It is perfect being. Not a perfect being instead of perfect doing, as an example. So the magic that we're going to be doing today, because the moon's in Aries, I believe at the moment, is we're going to be doing fire magic, which I do fire magic for the Sabbats anyway. Fire Sabbats are solar. But I want to give a little context first. You know that I link, if you've been coming to Sunday services or if you've been watching these on YouTube and video, Vimeo on Vimeo, whatever. If you've been watching these, and you know that really for a very long time I've been not just correlating but experiencing the Sabbats in tandem with chakras. That there are 8 Sabbats in the pagan wheel of the year that we know, and that there are 8 chakras that correlate. Now most people say, well, I only know about 7. Root, sacrum, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, crown. But if you take into consideration the 8th chakra, the star center, the soul center, the upper room, it's been called so many different things. I call it the pre-incarnational space or the home of the archetypes. There's all sorts of different names for it. It's not as classified and known as the 7 in the physical body. But if you line them up or overlap them, you see that there really is a strong symbolic correspondence between them. So, today's topic is Litha, well actually surrender to Litha, and you'll see why. Each of the 7 chakras has a sacred truth that can be put into words. The 8th chakra doesn't, because that's really beyond words. It's beyond the physical body. So at the root chakra we have Yule, which is all is one. The most foundational sacred truth. I'm not going to say it's the easiest to get, but it is the most foundational. Okay? 2nd chakra, honor one another. If you think of the umbilical cord of the navel, right? To honor one another, to honor relationships, one-on-one relationships, even relationships with things and relationships with, let's say, objects, people, because it's one of the addiction chakras. What is the lesson? What is the sacred context between me and cigarettes, me and coffee, me and whatever? Also sexuality, creativity, money, and all that stuff. Solar plexus, Ostara, honor thyself. And that was, I watched that one a couple of weeks ago that we did. I like to go back and watch them after a month or so to see if I'm doing what I taught. You know, to really honor your gut, honor your guidance, to honor your honor code, what you will do and won't do, because when this thing cramps up, it says, not for you, not today, not today. The last one we did, Beltane, love is divine power. That was a good one. I enjoyed that one a lot because it is so emotional. It's easier to feel joy in the heart chakra, right? Love is divine power. So the more love you allow to flow through you, because that is your true being, that is the divine, that is that infinite stillness, that infinite being, then the more, of course, you're going to transform, and the more you're going to heal, and not just yourself, but you can flow that energy into the world, but you have to release the outcome, because love, being unconditional, has no conditions in terms of the outcome. You just love for the sake of love. But now here we get to the throat chakra, and this is where it gets tricky. The throat chakra is tricky. Its sacred truth is surrender your will to the divine. I let that sink in. Surrender your will to the divine. Surrender your will to God. Have a seat. Have a seat and surrender your will to God. Surrender your will to the goddess. Because it is willpower. Every chakra manages a different type of power, a different flavor. I think flavor is a better word. By the way, let's turn our cell phones. Let's by decision, turn our cell phones either off or on silent. Mine's totally on. So, willpower. Willpower is tricky because we are not usually raised with a clear definition of what willpower is. If I were to just go by what my parents did when even the phrase was used, it seemed really harsh. Willpower. Right? Like nose to the grindstone, which I can't think of anything more painful to do than put your nose on a grindstone, considering it's just, like cartilage. Skinny cartilage, not fun. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Be strong. And as a young gay child, I was like, I'll be watching Bewitched. You all go do what you gotta do. I'm not so interested in that 1,000 sit-ups a day sort of disciplinary, militaristic attitude. Oh, I wish I had those words. I probably would have gotten punished more if I had those words. So, what is willpower? Will means choice and decision. Choice and decision, choice and decision. You cannot help but make choices and decisions every day. But we are in a very interesting time where we want to make those choices and decisions without being responsible for them. And if that's not the case, we would rather not make a choice or a decision. That every choice has a consequence. That's just how it goes. And most people, what do you want to have for lunch? I don't know. Do you want to eat? I don't know. Do you want to go somewhere? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Which, by the way, is a choice. Why do you think that is? Because if we start making choices, things will change. You can't have choice without change. And then decisions, which are, to me are like choices on steroids. A decision, like I look at the word decision next to the word incision. It cuts something that can't be uncut. Now you can decide again. Even in the Course of Miracles it says decide yet again, choose yet again. I think it goes back and forth between those two languages. But if you really contemplate choice and decision, you see that we are hesitant because we are afraid of the consequences. Now, part of this is because we don't know who we are. We've forgotten that we're actually spirit. That, who's raised with that? You're a spirit. You're not a body, little infant. You've lived more lives than you'll ever know. You've died every possible way since the dawn of creation. You've been born in all sorts of different forms. I just think it's really cute when people think that they've only incarnated as humans. I'm like, really? Really? Well, what about bacteria? How many bacteria are there on the planet, right? It's like, wow, a huge population are everywhere. Germaphobes just gotta chill, I'm sure. But on the planet, this planet at least, that was all that was available for a really long time. So, all is one, root chakra. We're all one spirit, right? We're all one spirit. So guess what? If there's spirit in the bacteria, in the amoeba, in the paramecium, that's us. If we're all one, we're all one. There's no dividing line on that stuff. So we've forgotten who we are. We don't make choices from an empowered place as a result of that because we are afraid of what will happen to these bodies. When you are, for example, really hating your job, hemorrhaging power every day, coming home with headaches, just stressed out. Maybe it's the politics or the work itself, or it's physical pain, emotional suffering, all that stuff. But you're just afraid of what will happen to you if you quit. You prostitute yourself with your choices to stay for the money. Or emotionally, you're in a very toxic relationship. And, course that immediately brings to mind the romantic, the intimate, the sexual. But relationship with anyone or anything, you know it's toxic. You know it's causing you emotional suffering. Well, some of that emotional suffering is your choice about how you process the experience, but we stay. And in that, not only are we prostituting ourselves, we're sabotaging ourselves emotionally, because we know it's probably not going to change unless we choose something different. So, how often do you know what to choose? How many of you really know what decision should that I've got to make in this situation? Now look, if it's pizza toppings, you usually stick with what you like, what you know. Just don't put anchovies or green peppers on my pizza. Anything else I'm good with. But this is where this Sabbath comes in handy. Because you have a month and a half to 3 months to really practice surrendering your will, your choices, your decisions to a higher power. Now, higher power is about as generic as I can make it. Surrendering it to God, surrendering it to Goddess. I call it surrendering to the divine, because that covers a bit more ground, not as much as higher power, but puts it in a divine mystical context. That it's in our languages, it's in our scriptures. Thy will be done. Thy, indicating the divine. Thy will be done. There is a good one from Florence Scovel Shinn. She uses the word Christ. I cast this burden on the Christ within and I go free. And you could say, I cast this decision, I cast this choice on the Christ within. Change the language. If the word Christ makes you a little scared, I cast this decision on my higher self and I go free. I cast this decision, this choice on the God within, on the divine within, on the spirit within, and I go free. You can even add on to that. You see, this is language is my art. I cast this choice on the divine within and I go free into clarity. I go free into peace. I go free into health. I go free into wealth. I go free. That's a micro way of doing it, that you can really moment by moment by moment, because if you don't know, if you're not sure, and here's why, your head will say one thing and usually your heart will say another, and your gut might say something else completely different. Or you can abdicate that altogether and say, well, what would you do? What should I do? What should I do outside? You can even hemorrhage power to a divination system. Tarot junkies, particularly when you're a reader. What should I do? What should I do? Show me this, show me that. Which is okay if it's, an information gathering system. I check the weather. I have this wonderful app, WT Forecast. It's actually what the fuck Google Forecast. It's really funny. It's like you turn it on and it goes, another frickin' foggy day. It makes me laugh. So it's like, okay, whatever the weather is, that made me laugh. So of course, I look at the weather. I want to know. News 12, traffic and weather. I know before you go. I want to know before I go. I want to have a look at what's the day going to be like. Like for today, I looked at the weather. I was like, well, I'll wear something yellow for Litha, and I won't blind myself because it's overcast. You walk out with bright clothing on a sunny day. You blind people as you walk down the street. It's just that's an okay thing to do, because you're gathering data for the literal world of what's going on so that you can make a wise choice or decision. What's the point of being a witch if you're not going to do your best to make the wise decision? But let's say there is no data available. Oh, you've Googled till your fingers bled. There's no external source. There's what? Let's say you're making a somewhat mystical experience where really no one in your current tribe or surroundings has context, has any idea. What are you going to do? Well, this is how I learned how to make my choices and decisions when it comes to something, and I'm going to put this in quotes, a high voltage choice or decision, because we don't always know what a high voltage choice is. We may think, I just heard this last night. It's so funny. Right before I teach something, even if I've been teaching it for a long time, Spirit will send me something at a least expected, almost at the last moment. So I knew I had to get up at 7 a.m. this morning. And, sometimes I just can't sleep. That Litha festival yesterday was a lot of work. And I took the video and went home and edited it, and I had it up by 7 o'clock and all that. But I was still awake. Thank you, Starbucks, for keeping me awake till 1 in the morning. So right as I'm about to go to bed, I see a TED Talk with Carolyn Mace talking about the power of choice. 20 minutes long. I watched 10. I was like, I really do need to get to sleep. She tends to not make me yawn, so if I'm yawning, I'm tired. And she said, you think the big choices in your life, the big decisions in your life are, buying a house, buying a car, buying the job you do, the career you do, your life plan. And she said something interesting. She said, those really aren't as big as you think they are. It's like they're enchanted in a way. They are much smaller than they appear. Decisions in the mirror look much larger than they appear much larger. And she said the ones that really have the consequences, the real large, huge choices, are the ones that you make when you're unwitnessed by anybody. The ones that no one will ever know about, those little ones. You think of them as little ones, little things that you do, little choices that actually have such an impact on your health. And not even so much action, but the attitudes that you choose. The things that you allow yourself to think and say and be and do when no one else is around. Those can be, in some ways, the most toxic as well as the most healing. So what do you do when you really don't know? I don't even know the voltage. Is this a 9-volt battery? Is this 10,000 watts? I have no idea what this choice is going to do. So I broke it down into 3 things: spit, swallow, and chew. Because throat chakra, I know you don't chew with the throat chakra, but it's all in that energy field of the throat, willpower, choice, decision, all that. Well, spit, act, say it, do it. In other words, it's coming from the inner outwards. Yang. Swallow. Take it in. Take it in. Someone else's opinion of you. That would, it depends on, I guess, the opinion, whether you agree or not, but take that in. To absorb from the world knowledge. Now, knowledge itself is neutral. It depends on the knowledge. Right? Take it in, take it in, take it in. Nope, not the time to say that. I said this yesterday. I may refer a bit to yesterday because I had to go for the most powerful points in what I wanted to talk about. And then I do want to make sure I cover some of them here. The Dalai Lama says, truth without compassion is brutality. Now, I'm sure you all have people in your life that you would like to hit them right in the third eye with some truth bolts, lightning bolts. Light is truth, so a truthening bolt. Anybody? Bosses, co-workers, people who cut you off in traffic and then drive slow. Woo! You just want to Zeus them. Oh, I think I made Zeus a verb. You want to Zeus them. But where's the compassion in that? I truly do my best to only answer questions that have been asked, to only offer truth, particularly because of what I do, to those who want it. That's why, there's nothing mandatory about Sunday morning services except come in and chill and hopefully leave some money. That's not mandatory. Keep the room going. But, there are times you're like, no. Not the time to say that. Particularly when somebody wants to know your truth, but they're in wrath, they're raging, and you know that choice would make a change, that it might actually end up being a life-altering decision were you to speak in that moment. I was thinking about this, editing videos from last week. I did not tell my paternal grandmother that I was gay, even though obviously I was living with the same man for years. It wasn't just a roommate. We moved to different states together. That's some roommate when you take them with you. And it was at Christmas, and she just came right out and asked me. We were driving her home, and she came right out and asked me. And I said, no, this was part of the prostitute archetype we talked about on Wednesday night. And looking back, come on, I was in my 20s. Looking back, I say to myself, well, was I afraid of her response? And looking back, I have to say no. She was crazy anyway. It wasn't. We didn't have that sort of relationship where I took her actions all that seriously. What was she going to do? I was in my 20s. We weren't living together. It just wasn't hers to know. It was none of her business. Even though to the rest of the world I was out, I just didn't feel like sitting through whatever. But now, as I really look back, I say, and you know what? That would have not just upset her. That could have triggered something within her that I don't know that she would have recovered from. I'll never really know what my ultimate response meant in the moment. Being, 24, 25 years old, if that. But looking back, I can say possibly that was a choice of compassion. That it was a lie, but that the truth might have been a bit too jarring for her. I guess I'll never really know. The Course in Miracles says to come from love. To make your choices from love, to make your decisions from love, and when you don't know, to ask, certainly. So there are times where the loving thing might be to lie. And I will give you the simplest example. Do I look fat in this? Now the Course says in that moment to ask. Right? Show me what you would have me do, where you would have me go, what you would have me say, and to whom. You know, we joke around here, and it's not the clothes that's making you fat, look fat, honey, you know. But to think about that energy, that choice is going to ripple out and return to you. Even if you're rail thin, I mean, maybe someone's going to call you fatty, you're going to think you're fat. Not that, by the way, being fat is the fucking end of the world, it's just the body. But how do you say it? What is the motivation behind it? That takes a minute to kind of work out. That's why when people, text me stuff, like, let me get back to you on that. When someone really asks me something where it's like that, so that's not spit or swallow, that's chew. I need to chew on this. I need to chew on this for a little bit. I'm having an Alanis Morissette moment. Jagged little pill, right? Do you want to deliver a jagged pill? Considering it's going to come back, amplified, multiplied. I have to chew the jagged edges off of that. I'm making the decision to deliver this truth with compassion, which is not the same as dumbing it down. Dumbing it down is a different category to me. Because if I had to teach kids, God forbid, oh my God, the amount of editing, I'd only be able to say like 5 or 6 words. But, depending on the group, like here, like this is public. Here at the Silver Room, we are public. But it's not like, I don't know, I'm at an expo with people, who pay tickets and stuff like that. That I gotta watch my language. Or if I'm on TV or something like that. Or on the radio, I do have to edit myself. And certainly that's Throat Chakra stuff too. But dumbing it down, maybe dilute is a more compassionate way of saying that. See, you just watched me go through that. You just watched me adjust, chew on the words a little bit instead of dumbing it down to dilute. That let's take the truth, or at least what's true, and water it down a little bit so that it's easier to digest, is better than, well, these people are stupid. Let me give them the Tom and Jerry version rather than the McNeil Lehrer version, right? I tend to be verbose and pedantic. Those 2 words really say what those... I use big words and I cannot lie. My humor, for example. Oh, there are times, I'm sure you knew, when I bite off more than I can chew. It's my way. Where the humor is right behind my teeth. And it is biting. And it is funny. I swear, I'm pretty sure the majority of my spirit guides are raunchy, dead Catskill comics. Because it comes like this. Wow. I'm good at naming things. Sometimes a name, just call it that. And it's like, whoa, Mark, no. Swallow that. Swallow that. Edit. And as you can see, you can have hundreds of those experiences in a day. What Litha offers us the opportunity to do is to refine the power of will, to surrender our will to the gods. A god, a goddess. I let go and let God. Where's that from? Yeah, Alcoholics Anonymous. I let go and let God. Now, think about that. There are two chakras that really, not that the other chakras aren't involved in addiction, but really the second chakra and the throat chakra, the sacrum and the throat, really have to do, here's why. The deadly sin, the shadow passion of the throat chakra is gluttony. What's gluttony? Now, I always get images of that Monty Python movie. What is it? The Meaning of Life?
Yes.
One butter, right? And it explodes.
Just one tiny little paper, thin mint wafer.
And he explodes.
Yes.
We tend to put gluttony in the category of food and drink. But that's the external manifestation, perhaps. It's making the same choice. Making the same decision over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, obviously in an unhealthy way. A disempowering decision. Over and over and over and over and over again. Greed, the second chakra shadow, is trying to fill the empty void, usually from something on the from the outside to the inside. Even attention, please, it's not just about physical stuff. Or do you have the greed of control? That's what control freaks do. By the way, everybody has their area of control freakiness. But gluttony is different. Gluttony is sort of like, I never partook in the experiment or read about the experiment. Maybe this didn't even happen, but where they had squirrels and they put food in one thing and cocaine in the other, and they tapped a little button. The squirrels tapped a button to have it dispensed, and they would try the food, but once they had the cocaine, they just kept hitting it over and over and over and over and over again. Now, squirrels aren't exactly calm, tranquil little creatures to start with. A squirrel on coke?
I'd like to see that.
It's a teeny tiny little straw and razor blade. I can't. I have this meme on my phone. I will not post it on Facebook. It says, "Father, forgive them because I just can't right now." And he's going like this and his eyes are rolled up. Oh, it just made me pee. I only send that to my elders to make them laugh. But you can get that gluttony. It's not that it's even feeding you. It's like a sugar high. You just keep making that same choice, saying the same thing, making the same decision. Why? Because we're afraid what will happen if we choose or decide something else. If every day you are going to the same place where you are perhaps being sabotaged and disempowered by something external, then get that that's not affecting you as much as the gluttonous choice, not just to go there because the physical action isn't as important, but the attitude of how you take it in, how you see it, how you process it, how you perceive it, how you play victim to it. Oh, do you think playing victim could be a gluttonous choice? Sure.
The attention.
But a familiar pain is at least familiar.
Well, yeah, but when it turns into throat cancer, when it turns into disease, when it turns into accidents, when it turns into all sorts of physical manifestations, and you go, but why me? You're still choosing victim, and it's no longer so comfortable. We can make all sorts of different choices. So what's the grace? For every shadow, there's a grace. For every deadly sin, there's a holy virtue. It's counsel. Not C-O-U-N-C-I-L. C-O-U-N-S-E-L, like when you go to a counselor. To hold the choice and the decision. To ask for the grace of counsel, which is held within the immortal soul and within the infinite being. Help me make wise decisions. So you surrender that will, that choice, and you ask for counsel. Now, there's advice. Well, there's opinion, there's advice, and there's counsel. Opinion, what does it say? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, right? So that would be like the eau de toilette, the real watered down thing. Then there is advice, which is the clone version. But advice, it's more powerful than an opinion. So you can ask somebody, what's your opinion about this? You take it or leave it. Advice, it's got a little bit more power to it. But I find most people advise from the shadow rather than the light. Well, I wouldn't do that because here's the reasons why not to do it. Instead of here's the reasons to do it. Here's what I feel. Just that I'm even using the word reason, it tends to deal with these 4 chakras. Where counsel is of the soul. What is your counsel on this? You can feel that's perfume. That's pure essential oil. From the depth of your being, I need counsel on this. So let's take, for example, the gluttony, the repetitive choice of self-condemning thoughts. They just eat you away. First of all, thoughts are electromagnetic wavelengths. We are not our thoughts. Are we the song? Is the radio the song on the radio? No. One is a receiver and the other is what is being received. You can think of the brain, if you like, as the antenna, the receiver, and the transducer, but the thoughts are free-floating. Toxic thoughts, shadow thoughts, fearful thoughts, worried thoughts are like free radicals. They're everywhere, but they get into your system and they start breaking things down. They are toxic. So they're going to go across your mind. Absolutely, they are going to. The brain is just going to receive them. But the choice to say, no, okay, that's just a thought. Let me be the silent witness. Let's just watch those thoughts go by. What do you do when there's a song on the radio you don't like? You change the channel. You know, I've got my little buttons on my thing. Remember when you had to do this? You know, my little things. Not that song. But then when I notice that same song I don't like keeps playing, I'm like, okay. Turn off the radio, or, because aren't there times at night where it's just the thoughts won't stop? They're not supposed to, by the way. Not supposed to. That's where you pray. You say, okay, grant me the grace of counsel. Help me choose a wise thought of these. And perhaps that wise thought is, that's not me. That's not me. That's just a thought. You know, I go back to my original foray into metaphysics when I was in high school, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. She says a belief is just a thought, and a thought can be changed, and how much of our lives are governed by our beliefs. Right? So it's just a thought, and a thought can be changed. So that's where I do think that like affirmation work and stuff like that is helpful, because you start introducing, you choose a new thought. So instead of, there's something wrong with me, I am as God created me. That's a shift. In fact, that's a lesson that repeats in Course in Miracles. I think it repeats twice. I am as God created me. It even has a longer version. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Now, not this part, but the core of who you are. Right? Or, everything bad always happens to me. Or what was the one I heard this morning from a heterosexual woman? All the men are gay or unavailable. It's like, well, you keep choosing that. And guess what you're going to keep seeing in the world? Yeah? It's an electromagnetic wavelength. And you digest it. As soon as it hits the emotional field, it's really in your body. And it starts sending out that wave. It's like, even in the Wiccan Repoetic version, where the rippling waters go, drop a stone in truth, you'll know. It's like you drop the thought in, it hits the water, and it creates a wave, which then returns. It's really good, powerful symbolism there. So, to make the decision, but this is a life changer, we're going to be doing this in the magic today, to surrender this stuff, say, okay, I may not have known this before, I might have known it subconsciously, but now that I have it in the conscious mind, I am willing to surrender all past choices and decisions to the divine. That's what's called the clean slate. Now, keep in mind, summer solstice, Litha, we're at the peak of the sun. We have had from Yule, this way, from Yule to Litha in what's called the light half of the year. Now we go into the dark half. It doesn't seem like that because the sun is going to be out, it seems, longer and longer and longer, even though it'll start getting shorter and shorter and shorter. But I think of that momentum, that strength, that solar yang, that any choices, decisions you make can carry that momentum, that strength, that not just laser beam, laser blast. When you're going 100 miles an hour in a car, it doesn't take much of a change of the turn of the wheel to take you in a totally different direction. When you're going 5 miles an hour, it really turn. I really have never really consciously driven 100 miles an hour, but I can imagine going that fast, you just have to go and you change course. That if you are afraid of those consequences, well, at 100 miles an hour, perhaps there is some survival-based fear in there that's worth listening to. But in terms of metaphor, to say, if I really want to change my life, if I really want to empower wisely, here's an example of a prayer off the top of my head. Dear God, Goddess, all that is. I get the coordinates of where we are to a certain extent. I don't know everything. Through the grace of humility, grant me the grace of humility that I know that I do not know. I know that I do not know. I'm willing to know that I do not know. But I'm willing to be shown because I don't know what to do. I don't know what decision to make. I surrender my will to you. How do we end most of our spells here? Well, before that. For the highest good and harming none. As I will it, so let it be done. As I choose it, as I decide it, as I say it, as I light the candle, as I take an action, that I am using my will. So, but that last part, for the highest good and harming none, that's why we call it a loophole. It's like a contract. For the highest good and harming none, as I will it, so let it be done. Then if this is not for my highest good, if it's not for the highest good of all concerned, that's okay. You know, we have this traveling spell that we do, and there are green light spells that when you're in a hurry and you really need to get somewhere, you're behind schedule, you don't care who is on the other side, not the other side this way, the other sides of that light, right? So for you to magically influence traffic lights, which I'm very good at, I Piper Halliwell that sucker. I just freeze it in yellow. I'm very good at that. Always use the left hand because for me, left hand is stop, right hand is go. Yeah. What's it like to even surrender that? This has been my practice lately. Because I have noticed that I'm getting a lot of people cutting me off and then going slower than the speed limit. Because you know what? My choices in terms of spiritual practice are good because I surrender that, or that's easy. Because every day I know I'm going to do it again. So it seems that thing that gets under my skin, I've been surrendering it. So yes, I've still been freezing yellow lights, but I've been choosing in the moment, okay, I don't even know why this is the fourth person to cut me off and drive slow at 10 p.m. at night when no one else is on the road. I'm just going to trust. I surrender my will to the divine. What is faith? What is trust? What is that? It's saying, I don't know, but I place this trust in something higher. Because you know what? There are things in this world you can't control. Sorry. Is that a shock? There are things in this life you cannot control. When people come and tell me about political things going on in the world and they're all freaked out, I do say to them, like, well, you know what? They didn't call me. My phone did not ring. I didn't get a text message saying, what should we do about this, that, or the other? At this point, I would say, surrender to God, go meditate. Here's the thing. I do the spell casting, right? I cast this. For the highest good and harming none. I don't know what to do. I had an elder tell me, if you don't know what to do, if you don't know what spell to do, cast to know what to do. That's so wise. Because when you do that, not only are you being humble in the true sense, to know that you do not know, but you open a space. in the I guess it's Buddhism, to empty the rice bowl. Right? Because if you think you know, you've got all this knowledge, all this stuff you think you know, when you really don't. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's actually a really good idea to regularly just empty the rice bowl. Let's go, I don't know. I think when we croak, we know more. And I think when we stop the process of incarnation, we are just one with the Supreme Being, infinite intelligence. Then I bet it's fun to look back at human lives and go, wow, wow, you did the best. What if everybody's really doing the best they can? That is, to some, a spiritual truth, that everyone is doing the best that they can with the amount of information and experience that they have. Therefore, no one from the divine is ever judged. It's we down here who judge. Oh, and by the way, judgment is also throat chakra. Who am I to judge? No, the recent Pope said that. Who am I to judge? And I'm sure a lot of people are like, the Pope, duh. It's like, if anybody's going to judge, you are. And he surrendered that. Who am I to judge? That's true humility. Mm-hmm. Not humiliation. He wasn't humiliating himself. He was really coming from a healed, compassionate heart. You know? I was like, he's cool. There's a judgment. He's cool. He's not cool, but the Pope is cool. You know, the Dalai Lama. I always refer to the Dalai Lama. I don't know, maybe I have some kind of Tibetan Buddhist past life or something. What are the chances? Probably pretty good. Exiled. Now, have any of you ever been exiled in this life? Kicked out? Job, the home, relationship, whatever. Hurts, right? Scary, right? Like 1 minute you're in fashion, one day you're in, and the next day you're out. I can't believe I just had a fucking Project Runway moment. Okay.
It's all good.
Yeah. Now imagine a country invading. You're the spiritual king, essentially, or queen, of a country. They come in, they start killing your people, and they exile you. He chose compassion. Essentially, sort of like, forgive them, they know not what they do. I'm going to go hang out with Richard Gere. I'm going to go travel the world. I'm going to teach this powerful spiritual process, discipline, practice around the world. I'm sure, I don't know, what do I know what the Dalai Lama thinks or chooses, but I would think if I was in that position, I would be like, well, it's probably a good thing the Chinese invaded. Probably a good thing I got exiled, because how many billions of people have been positively affected as a result of that? So even how we choose, there's the word, choose to see things that happen in our lives in the moment as good or bad, judgment. To surrender even that, I don't know. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. Considering we're in a dualistic world, elements of positive and negative are in everything. Which end of the stick do you want to pick up, the lead side or the gold side? And sometimes that's hard to see. Often that's hard to see. I surrender, I let go and let God. I did this chakra class back in the 80s, and it was on audio cassette, but we met as a group as well. And there was one particular set of affirmations. I can't remember what chakra it was for, but it was for surrender and release. And I'll do it as I remember it. I've augmented it since. I let go and let God receive all energies that I have created. I release them to the will of the greater power of love. I see everything becoming fully balanced in its own time and place, and I accept the greater good manifesting in the now. Something like that. Well, I've paganized it over the years. But I let go and let God. I let go and let God. I let go and let God. It's receive all energies that I have created. Now think about that. All energies. Could we expand upon that? All energies that I have created in this lifetime and every other past, present, future. Now, the throat chakra controls the shoulders too, by the way. Think about that. Let go and let God receive all energies that I have created, past, present, future, this lifetime, all lifetimes. I release them to the will, underline that word, I release them to the will of the greater power of love. I release them to love. I release them to the divine love aspect. Release them to that. So, perfect love can't condemn. If it condemns, it's not perfect love. I trust that everything is becoming fully balanced in its own time and place. That's a choice, really. That could be a decision. Again, we cannot mentally always judge the voltage of our choices, whether it's really going to change our lives or if it's just a quickie, not that much of a consequence. And I accept that there is a greater good manifesting in my life now, in the now. That simple set of affirmations, it's really become a spell of release for me, is what the throat chakra is in its sacred truth. I surrender my will to the divine. I surrender my choices. Because I can tell you this, when I get an inspiration, it hits me like lightning, I act on it. Why? Because, and maybe this is just because of the spiritual practice, whatever spiritual practice you do, if you do it consistently, things get congruent, things get in alignment, so the head and the heart aren't on different pages anymore. I still say, most women, if you want to watch them tear themselves in half, put a brownie in front of them. Now, why is that? What's the mental field saying about the brownie? Empty calories.
Fattening.
Fattening.
Chocolate.
That's not the head. That's the heart. That's the emotional field that says, chocolate. The way you said it, not the word. Chocolate. That's not here.
I don't have much of a voice, so.
Oh. No, it was the energy of it, not so much the tone. Yeah, no, the Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster is not an archetype of higher knowledge and wisdom. He's not third eye. All I know is that I don't eat cookies that often, and when we have like a graduation ceremony and I have to go pick up stuff, for cake and wine, I always get Chips Ahoy cookies, and whatever's left over comes home with me, and I eat them in one night. I might have the Cookie Monster archetype. Because I will say, the third eye is on the day shift. The heart chakra is on the night shift. So the discipline, the choices, the decisions that you make during the day with the third eye can absolutely be contradicted and eradicated at night with the heart. To stay consistent. You want your spells to work? Clearer, faster, better return. Ooh. Here's a good one. Do any of you day trade stocks? Any of you involved in the stock market? Okay. Neither. But what is it that you do when you buy a stock? What do they call that? You invest. You invest. Now, what do you want for your investment?
Return.
A return, right? What, the same amount that you put in? More. You want to release and have a return multiplied. That's what this does. That's what the throat chakra does. You invest. You choose. You decide. But now, take it out of the financial currency, and I want you to think of it as current. Voltage, power. When you invest in an attitude, here we go. When you invest in a mental attitude that triggers you emotionally in a way that does not feel good. Hatred. Any of you hateful?
My friend.
Can they?
About everything?
No.
No, just towards certain people.
Certain people.
Still.
Now, I could ask why. None of my business why. But that is an investment that will not give you a good return. I just have to ask, is this, the people that you hate, and you can just yes or no this, are they people you know well?
No.
Thought I did.
Are they people, so they're people you've met?
Yes. People who betrayed me.
Okay, so they're people who've been in your
Yeah.
life. Now, here's an investment, here's an attitude you could invest in. They wouldn't have done that if they weren't suffering. If they weren't in pain. If they were aware, they probably weren't aware of their pain. Hurt people hurt people. wounded people wound. I took it personally. I take things personally. That had nothing to do with me. That was a lesson being delivered to me. That didn't happen to me. It happened.
For
Not my personality. My personality is like, fuck that with a bucket. Fuck it with a bucket. A big, wide bucket. Fuck it. But the soul goes, yeah. Had to learn that. Out of necessity. Had to learn that, he said, with the sacred Starbucks.
Lotus coffee, huh?
Yeah. Had to learn that. Had to do that. Now the thing is you do not. Now I'm not using you as an example, but I'm going to use your example. We all get betrayed. Did you know Dante's Inferno, the last circle of hell, I think it's the 8th circle of hell, is betrayal? It is the worst. They're all frozen up to their necks in a lake. Satan's wings, keeping it cool. Well, at least we know he's chilling out. Right? Because betrayal freezes you. So it's sort of the worst, right? We all get betrayed. But where have you... See, this you say, okay, they betrayed me, but where have I betrayed myself? Where have I said I was going to do something and didn't, or swore I wasn't going to do something and did? Where has it been where my gut said no, but I said yes? Or my gut says yes, but I said no? We're looking at throat chakra stuff here. And then to say to yourself, I want to invest this power differently. I want to, oh, here we go, he's going to say the F word, forgive. I want to forgive them, not because what they did was fun, or if it was okay, but I would rather heal than hemorrhage. Because if you don't forgive, guess what's going to happen? It's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. The thing about betrayal in particular, well, my friend Lillian Carter, not Jimmy Carter's mother. We didn't hang like that. My roommate in college, choreographer, she's still kicking ass up in Boston, Lillian Carter. She used to say, I'll bend over, the knife goes in easier. Right? Get stabbed in the back. When you hold on to betrayals, you are by definition deciding to play victim. That's not a choice, that's a decision. And you do open yourself up for more. That the victim archetype in its deepest shadow has an electromagnetic pattern that draws more victimization. So by not forgiving, you're investing in more betrayal, more victimization. Now here's what I know to be true. You don't have to tell them you forgive them. You're not forgiving them for them. You're not letting them off the hook for them. You're letting them off the hook so you're no longer on the hook. When you don't forgive, the Course in Miracles says when you pound nails into your brother's hands, they end up in your own. So when you put someone on the hook, like what could be more painful, right? Like I get that image, literally, be hanging on a hook. When you put someone on the hook, it's you that suffers. Because ultimately we're all one, but because you're investing in an attitude, in a position of such pain and victimization, and poor me, why does this always happen to me? That instead of learning, healing, growing, evolving, taking the lesson for what it is, and by the way, not the second it happens either. I'm not that good. Like, I'm not at that place where shit goes down and I'm immediately like, oh, it's happening for me. It's happening for me. I forgive. Not there yet. But I know if it goes for more than 48 hours, it's going to repeat. So I try and get it done that day. Usually that night. This is why spiritual practice in the morning, spiritual practice in the afternoon, spiritual practice as I go to bed, and as many other times as I can remember to do it. You know, I chant on the way here. And by the way, we have a really good chant set up for today too. So, a powerful Sabbath, yeah? We're still in Beltane. Beltane will end at Luchnesad. All right? So we're still in Love is Divine Power. Heart chakra. But when we go into Litha, now we're bridging into the third eye, Each chakra has an energy field of overlap. The root chakra overlaps the sacrum. The sacrum overlaps the root and the solar plexus. The solar plexus, the sacrum and the heart, the solar plexus and the throat. Am I doing this right? Yeah, okay, I think I'm good so far. The throat, the heart, and the third eye, very powerful. The third eye, the throat and the crown, the throat, right? The crown, the third eye, and the eighth. Because it is a spectrum, they blend together. So to now take love is divine power and seek only truth, which is the sacred truth of the third eye that we will look at Luchnas on. And to balance that with I surrender my will to the divine. I surrender my will to God. I surrender my will to God. Mommy says yes, Daddy says no. What do I do? Goddess says no, God says yes. What do I do? Show me. And that, little by little, brings them into congruency. Questions before we go into practice? Yeah.
What you were saying about forgiveness.
Yeah.
For me, forgiveness, I don't know if I got this from you or whomever I got this from. Forgiveness is seeing that things had to happen the way they did for
a purpose.
Their purpose.
Yeah.
But to see that, I have to be humble because I don't have to know what that purpose is.
Right.
I don't even have to have an inkling of what that purpose is. I may think I should know what that purpose is, but humility tells me I don't need to know what that purpose is. But if I get that humility and get to that forgiveness, then I have compassion for myself.
Yeah. And that's enough. The benefit of forgiveness goes to the forgiver because ultimately you'll never know why it happened. That doesn't mean you can't come up with reasons, but how accurate are reasons? Rarely accurate. Because you don't see the whole thing. That's why to surrender it to a power that knows everything instead of trying to see the world through a keyhole, which is really at best what we can do while we're in bodies, is just see what's right in front of us in the quantum field, forgetting that it's infinite. So what if everyone cut me off in traffic, not just as a lesson, but here, let's play the karmic game. Because in a past life, I cut off people's toes. It's an odd occupation. Podiatrist, right? Barbarian podiatrist, I don't know. But you don't know, you don't know your past lives. You don't know them all. You might have I know a bunch of them, I think. See, there's the grace of humility. What do I know? This is what I've seen, this is what I've felt, this is what I've sensed, but I don't ultimately know. Maybe all lives are one life. Maybe we don't have past lives. Maybe it's all just happening in the same moment. I do not know. We're all one. Anything could be. But I know that I don't know. So rather than invest in a belief and an attitude of why things happen the way they did, I could say, I know that I don't know, but I have been told and experienced that hurt people, that everyone is fighting a hard battle, that we are so rewarded in this world for our toxicity that why would people heal? And I get to choose whether or not I want to suffer. I've been saying this a lot lately. Stub your toe, that's pain. You cannot avoid pain in this world. Bitch and moan about it for a week, that's suffering. That's self-induced. A breakup, let's talk intimate, romantic, sexual relationships. Those kind of breakups are hard. Even if you're the one who's doing the breaking up, they're hard. I have played both sides plenty of times. As I get older, they're getting easier, right? Repetition is the mother of skill. But to then go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about it, that's not pain, that is self-induced suffering. That's a choice. The talking about it, the, oh my God, how many songs of he done me wrong, she done me wrong. You know, they all come on the radio and the experiences happen to you, right? Your electromagnetic field is just bringing in more, bringing in more, bringing in more. To forgive is to acknowledge that there is a purpose there that you don't know, and let's get on with it. Life moves at the speed of forgiveness, and really, forgiveness is not a choice, it's a decision. It is life-changing. Forgiveness turns woe into wisdom. And it's a lesson. You're not supposed, if you knew how to forgive, just because you've done it before doesn't mean you know how to forgive this thing that's happening or happened. But it is a decision. It will. Life moves at the speed of forgiveness. You want to move on to the next thing, forgive. And that's why we're going to be doing some of this work in a few minutes. We're going to do a little magic. We're going to set shit on fire. Lady Bridget had the joy of watching me race around today to get things to put into the needfire cauldron because we didn't have what I thought we had here, so I had to. And she said to me the words spoken by my elder Diane. Diane, if you're watching this, you've helped me more with this than many people have. What do you need? What do you got? So I use what we got. So we got some Angelica in there. We've got some benzoin, some copal, and some holy salt. So, let's talk mantra. This one's a little wordier. I usually try and get 2 words, but I've been studying before we even go into this. I have been into Sanskrit mantras since I started working with the Ashaya monks. Oh my God, that would be 19 years ago. And I do like Sanskrit. It's a dead language. No one's speaking it fluently. You don't have to need it to understand it verbally to travel. But according to traditions, that these are sounds that emanate from Supreme Being, from that infinite, intelligent, void, stillness, silence. It emanates from that in order to create change within us and then ripple outwards. And I hesitate to say this because this is not the tradition I study it, but I'm not a part of. They seem to me to be a little spell-like. So I think it's hopeful for witches to at least look into them. What's tricky about them, and why I don't consider them spells completely, is because one Sanskrit word, let alone syllable, can have all of these different meanings. So to be clear on what they mean in the language that you do speak is helpful. But were we just, okay, for example, har, hooray, hurry. I know it's like har, hardy, har, right? Har, hooray, hurry. My healing intention manifests. Why did I choose that? What is an intention? It's what you want and why you want it, but it's a choice. When you intend something, you choose it. Intention is the foundation of spell work, at least how we teach it here at the Silver Broom. What do I want? Why do I want it? What and why? What and why? You choose. When you do a spell, you choose the spell. If you're writing it yourself or picking it out of a book or online or making it up on the spot, you're using willpower. You're investing your air, your fire, your water, your earth into a spell. Same with a prayer, same with a meditation, So the reason why I like the Sanskrit is even though I can know the meaning, if I do it in English, my native language, except from Val Speak, which is, oh my God, then I know my mind can take that English thought and run with it and run with it and run with it and run with it and expand upon it and all. That's what the mind does. But Sanskrit, the word mantra, I learned a new definition for it this week, by the way, since Wednesday, or since Tuesday. I originally learned, because mantra is Sanskrit, they can have different meanings, that it means to cover or protect. And that's what I learned. That was the original. But now I learned from a different teacher and teaching, man means mind, tra means tool. It's a mind tool. Oh my goodness. And both are true. Like, it's not like one cancels out the other. So to protect, to cover, and mind tool. Bonus, right? So because it's not in your native language, you can use it knowing the meaning, but as the mantra's going, with the intention to be still, to retreat, to go deeper in and higher up into the truth of who you are, which is without problems, which is at one with the divine. And it is like dropping these golden pebbles into the infinite and making ripples. That's a form of spell work, seen that way. So, to clarify, here, I'll do it for the camera here too. Har, hooray, hari. My healing intention, singular, manifests. Now, your healing intention, my healing choices, my healing decisions. What do I want? I want to heal what? What do we want? Healing! When do we want it? Now! my healing intentions. My healing intention manifests. Healing of the mind, healing of the body. Do you know that you can have spiritual wounds? Spiritual healing isn't just about reiki, shmeiki, eggs and bakey. It's not just about laying on of hands and sending energy and sending thoughts and prayers. That is a form of spiritual healing. But spiritual healing is about healing your spirit, healing your soul. Learning lessons and healing wounds from other life you don't even know. It's beyond the mind. The spirit is not the mind. The spirit is beyond the mind. This is the 8th chakra stuff. So, of course, healing financially. Oh, by the way, you might want to come down Tuesday night because I learned a new mantra specifically for healing money issues and attracting better financial energy and money. Came right to me on my YouTube. I'll be sharing that Tuesday night. I was thinking of doing that one today, but that's not Litha. So Tuesday night, $10, and it's working. It's working fast for me. So any questions about the mantra? That's going to be part of our Litha thing today. Alrighty. So please get yourself comfortable in a position you can stay in for a couple of minutes. Close your eyes, center, ground, and breathe. I'll ring us in 3 times, I'll ring us out 3 times. When I ring us out 3 times, then you can open your eyes and I will maybe have the needfire lit already. Just focus on your breath. Scan your body from head to foot for any place that feels tight, tense, or holding on. Do whatever you need to do to get physically comfortable. Allow yourself to fall back into the position of the silent witness of thought. Choose it. If a thought begins to stick, let's go right back into the breath and let it go. We're not trying to stop the mind from thinking. We're actually allowing it to by just witnessing the thoughts without attachment. I'm going to introduce the mantra. It's 3 words, all starting with H. I'll repeat it a number of times. But the idea is to leave space in between the repetition of the mantra. To really be in the silence, the stillness. And of course, if thoughts become intrusive, they're going to continue, but if they become intrusive, you're carried away out of the present moment. Just go right back into the mantra. There we go. Hare. Hare. Har. Hare. Hare. Silently. Har. Hare. Hare. My healing intention manifests. Har. Hare. Hare. Har. Hare. Hare. Continue the mantra. I'll ring the ting shas when we're ready to drop the mantra. Har. Hare. Hare. release the mantra. Focus on your breath. As you're ready, you don't have to fully ground and center. We'll do that before we're done today. You can open your eyes. Let your eyes gently rest upon the flame, the needfire. I do cleanse and consecrate this flame by the power of the gods, removing all negativity from it in every time and place, that it may become a symbol and an embodiment of the divine flame and the power of Litha, the summer solstice. To empower you in the name of the gods. So mote it be.
So mote it be.
Just allow these words. You've already heard me say them. I let go and let God. I let go and let Goddess receive all energies that I have created in this life and in all lives. Release them to the will of the greater power of love. I accept that everything is becoming fully balanced in its own time and place. And I accept the greater good manifesting in the now. I let go and let God, I let go and let Goddess receive all energies that I have created. I release them to the will, the greater power of love. I see that everything is becoming fully balanced in its own time and place, and I accept that there is a greater good manifesting in my life in the now. I let go and let God, I let go and let Goddess receive all energies that I have created. I release them to the will of the greater power of love. I accept that everything is becoming fully balanced in its own time and place, and I accept that there is a greater good manifesting in my life in the now. I surrender my will to God. I surrender my will to Goddess. Our exercise now, although you've been playing along, we'll just go around the room as we like to do, and you can say pass. That is a choice, that is a decision, and that's fine. I surrender my choice, my will, my decision, this situation, whatever. I surrender this blank to blank. I surrender my finances to the divine. I surrender my bills. I surrender my debts. I surrender this person. I surrender this place. Now, if you're going to say person, remember you're not on camera, but use first name only. So I'll get us started. Let's go really general, really big. I surrender the suffering of the world to the gods. As you're ready.
I surrender all aspects of my life to the gods.
I surrender my anxieties and my stress to spirit.
I surrender my frustrations to divinity.
I surrender all my worries to the higher being.
I surrender my choices and my decisions to the divine.
I surrender my thoughts to the divine.
I surrender my thoughts that I can't seem to let go of to the universe so that I can finally get rid of them.
I surrender my grudges to a higher power.
I surrender all my angers to the higher divine.
I surrender my past and my perceptions of the past to the divine.
I surrender my voice to the divine.
I surrender myself to spirit.
I surrender anything that's left to divinity.
I surrender all that I cannot control to the higher being.
Last round. You can say pass if you need to. I surrender my future to the divine.
I surrender all that is to the divine.
I surrender my doubts to the divine.
I surrender my future to the divine.
I surrender all fear to the higher divine.
So let's just chant along. Surrender my will to the divine. I 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 surrender my will to the divine.
I surrender my will to the divine. I surrender my will to divinity.
3.
I surrender my will to divinity.
2.
I surrender my will to divinity.
Last one.
I
I surrender my will to the divine. Breathe. You are now empty. The rice bowl is empty. The teacup is empty. Just be as your eyes gaze upon the dancing flame of Litha. There has never been a time like the one humanity finds itself in now, though this has been true in every moment of time since the beginning of time. Yet the evolution of the species and the evolution of consciousness has come quite a long way very quickly. There is still much more ahead, as there always will be. So to know that you do not know, to allow what is to be in the present moment, to be at peace, to be surrendered, means to let go and go with the flow of the energy as it is in the moment. You will be shown. This is the promise of the gods. That you are not our chess pieces. You are our children. You are our manifestations in the game of form. There will come a time where you remember the truth of who you are. That must be done gradually. There will come a time where your intention so clearly and quickly manifests that worry will disappear from you. But that must be practiced bit by bit as you walk the journey. That no drama is worth living without conflict, and no conflict lasts forever. But how long you maintain it is a question of whether you hold on or surrender. The beauty of surrendering your will, your choices, your decisions to the divine is that we never ask you to bow, but as you surrender to us, you need surrender to no other human being. That you may acquiesce in the moment as a strategy, that you may of your own guidance feel it better to go with rather than against, that you may become so non-resistant to what others do that it will not even feel like surrender so much as an empowering decision to accept what is and to relax into the flow and be carried. But we assure you, at the end of all journeys in this world, whether through death or by truth, there is peace. And you don't have to wait for that. You can find peace. You can choose peace. You can decide for peace, and that is all an inside job. But you can also ask for help from those who know, both internally and externally, both in the world and in the realm of spirit. That the divine is not something that hovers above you separate, but it is an eternal light, an eternal pulse into form and out of, into form and out of, into form and out of, that inspires your heartbeat and your breath. so interwoven. We are one. Decide to see the divinity in others. You will experience it in yourself. Decide to trust that there is an evolution of consciousness going on within you. A path of inspiration. A path of wisdom under your feet already. And you will find incrementally your stress lessens without much effort. To practice spirituality, regardless of its form, is just to practice remembering who you were and who you are and who you will be, regardless of what's happening in this world of form. That even at the core of the most toxic tyrant, and even in the core of the most holy healer, is exactly the same. One cloth, one cloth, one cloth. This is why the love of the gods is both maximal and equal, not just amongst humans, but amongst all of life. For the emotional experience of that one life is love, and the mental experience of that one life is light, is truth. So when next you see or hear or say love and light, remember what you're talking about is the feminine and masculine expression of the one life. That is the divine you surrender your will into. What could go wrong? It only can go right. That surrender is a means of correction, course correction, of healing. That you surrender your perceptions, how you think things are. That you exchange your perception for divine vision. So that is why we can say with great confidence and clarity that there has never been a time like this on planet Earth where individuals are so free to reach for the divine both within and above. In silence or in words, as solitaries or in the masses, known and unknown alike. Because the will, the choice, the decision of the divine, God, goddess, the gods, the goddesses, our choice, our decision, our will for all of life is to heal, to grow, to become, to awaken, and for peace. So it is. So mote it be.
So mote it be.
As we watch the fire burn, imagine the thoughts going across your mind's eye, passing through those flames, being purified. Imagine the choices and decisions that you have surrendered being transformed. That you have become enlightened in that you have dropped burden. To let go and let God. To let go and let Goddess. To cast burden on that which can carry it for you. Must lighten you.
has to. Is enlightenment not another opposite of enheavyment or endarkenment? This is spiritual purification. Because now the solar energy, while in the sign of Cancer, cardinal water, creative emotion, to come from love, to create from love, to speak from love, to act from love. Easier now when you surrender, when you know that you do not know what the loving thing is, to ask to be shown. This is not about being perfect. This is about practice. And every moment of every day that you're awake, you're in the schoolroom, you're in the dojo, you're in the rehearsal stage, and yet this is not a dress rehearsal. Practice. Surrender. Practice surrender. And in that, we heal. Our healing intention manifests. Meaning that the intentions that we have to heal manifest. For ourselves and for others. It doesn't matter where we walk, where we go, what we do for a living, what we don't do. We become an unbroken line, an unbroken being of light. Our emotional fields become lighter, and therefore our manifestations become easier. They come quicker because there's so little resistance within our energy field anyway now. So as the last embers give way to the scent of the incense at the bottom of the cauldron, those last few flickers, I truly, truly, truly wish everyone, here and not here, blessed, blessed Litha. So moving. Bridge, would you mind hitting the light for me?
Sure.
I want to make sure this... Oh, can you smell that now? Ooh, yeah. Frankincense, benzoin. I forget what else I put in there. I put some Angelica, Archangelica in there. Trying to go so... Bam! Okay, we're back in the body now. Thank you. Because I just want to close this puppy up. Get this out of the way. Woo! It's right in my face. Ooh, the powdered benzoin really took off in there. All right. The Sabbats are really interesting times for me. That's why I volunteered to do the services for them. But remember, come Wednesday, I mean, you can start practicing now. It's like ringing a gong, ringing a bell that carries in its tone for a while. So it's not just about that one day, or that one spell, or that one ritual, or that one ceremony. It's about a reorientation with a different flow of energy seasonally. So the next Sabbath we're going to be doing, and I'll be doing this at the end of July, Sunday, the last Sunday of July, which I think is Sayville Summerfest. If it's not that, then it's the weekend after, whatever.
First weekend of August.
It's the last weekend of August?
First.
The first weekend, right. All right. I think I'm doing, because I'll look at the calendar. Pretty sure I'm doing because I try and do the one before the Sabbath, so if anybody wants to do one after, so I try and nail it to give people a little, sometimes it happens the day of, which is rare. But we're going to be looking at Luch Nasad, and that one's a bit hairy scary. It's the sacrifice. It's the first harvest. And it's sacred truth. is seek only truth. So what you're being asked to sacrifice for your own good are your illusions, which sounds nice, but it's some of the hardest things to do because it's Sabbath of the third eye.
Yeah.
So do you get why this Sabbath's kind of key now? It's like, let me get used to surrendering my will, my choices. Because remember, every choice you make or don't make has a consequence. That choice makes change. And decisions are life-changing in that we're not always clear about what's a choice and what's a decision. I'm going to be moving my house. Like my parents are selling the property we live on. They've got a house up in Saratoga. I'm looking for places. I like Holtzville. I like one of the developments I'm looking at. A nice little condo area has a pool that I don't have to clean. I'm sort of into that. So you would think, Mark, what a big decision. What town you want to move to, what home you want to move to, what mortgage payments that you want, that you can structure, all of that stuff. And now I'm kind of getting, it's like now I've already surrendered that. That's beginning to feel more like a choice than a decision. My decision is how do I want to walk it, with fear or with faith? So to surrender. Surrender, Dorothy. It's a good witch reference. I let go and let God. I let go and let God receive all of this. And lastly, I really want to thank you all so very much for your time and your attention and your magic today. Hail farewell and blessed be. Thank you.